I'm Bowser Jr., and I'm gonna be taking my father now!
Greetings and salutations. I'm here with my review of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, the sequel to 2023's massive hit Super Mario Brothers movie. And yeah, this is a sequel that really is more of the same, but a little bit lesser. And is also one of those tricky movies to even review at all because it is sort of what you see is what you get. The story, what there is of a story is that Bowser Jr. shows up. He wants revenge for what happened to his dad in the first movie. He kidnaps Princess Rosalina and has a nefarious plan that brings the Mario Brothers and Peach across the galaxy to try to save Rosalina and stop Bowser Jr. Look, I understand that any criticisms I make of this movie will circle back to, yeah, but it's a Mario Brothers animated movie. Well, what do you want? What more do you want? But I think you can get more. I even think the first movie offered more. I liked the first movie. I think it was great, but I thought it was fine. I grew up playing the original Super Mario games. I'm an 80s kid, so I grew up playing, the original games and into the 90s, Mario Kart, played the hell out of Mario Kart. I think the last game I played through was actually the first Super Mario Galaxy game on the Wii. So I've got some history with Mario, although I'm not some deep expert on the lore and whatnot. But I have that affection for Mario. I've got that nostalgia. And yeah, so I enjoyed that first movie. The visuals, they lend themselves, I think, to a movie. And I think the first movie works because it is a classic, hero's journey origin story for Mario and Luigi, taking them from, normal New York plumbers to this fantastical realm where they get to kind of step up and, show that they can be these big heroes they never thought they would be. This movie doesn't really figure out much to do with the characters, though. Except for Peach and Rosalina, there's not a lot going on here with our heroes. And even if you look at, say, Yoshi, very, popular character who was teased at the end of the first movie, here he is. He's in plenty of this movie, and he's fun, and Yoshi is cute, and they do some fun little visuals with him, but he has no significance to the story in a way that actually surprised me. I thought if you tease him at the end of the first movie, he's coming. He will be tied to the plot of this movie in some way, and he is tied in zero way. There's actually a throwaway line that is kind of like, this guy's just part of our gang now, and that's kind of what it feels like. It kind of feels like, well, time to have Yoshi join up, so he will, but if you removed him from the movie, it wouldn't change anything, and I don't think that should be the case. I think you can come up with more to do with these characters. And yeah, you look at the directors here. They're returning from the first movie. It's Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic, and these are talented guys. These are funny guys. They have good gags throughout. And you look at their history, Teen Titans Go, but especially Teen Titans Go to the movies, which is freaking hysterical. They can do really funny, subversive things. I do wonder how much they're constrained by Nintendo, who are famously very, very restrictive with what you can do with their characters. So I do have that understanding that they can probably only push things so far, but the end result does feel pretty whatever as a movie, while I also can acknowledge it delivers what it needs to. I think that, kids will really enjoy it. And I think it does get those synapses, those nostalgia buzz. I had my moments of being Leo pointing at the screen of like, oh, I get that. I recognize that. That's a fun Easter egg. That's a fun callback. There are callbacks that are definitely aimed at the adults because it's stuff from the 80s that, the kids are not going to even recognize that I enjoyed. And yet I also understand that this is sort of like an empty calories thing going on here, that this is, there's very little tangible elements of this movie to really grab onto or remember or think about later. Visually, I do think that, again, that this world lends itself to movies, and there are a couple sequences I definitely think step it up. They go planet to planet, and it feels very video game, as it should properly, level to level, little mini bosses and whatnot. There's one planet in particular. Peach ends up in this sort of realm that is a casino, and there's kind of an MC Escher element to it because you can walk on all the surfaces, and there are people playing games on all the surfaces, so on the ceiling, on the walls, wherever you go, sort of gravity changes, and it looks great. It looks cool and interesting, and it's trippy, and I think it gets a little sort of surreal in a way that I definitely appreciated. And then on the sense of humor front, there are some dark little jokes, and I was impressed when they would get things in. I forget official names, guys. I'm sorry. So the skeleton version of the Koopas, if they have an official name, I'm forgetting it. Sorry. There's a couple of very good gags with those guys. It feels like they understood the directors and the writers that this is where we could get away with a little more here. The rules of how those guys work. There are some very nice visual gags with them. The voice cast, I mean, it's a A-list cast, and some of it is so funny you kind of have to roll your eyes at Donald Glover, his Yoshi. Why? Look, if he's having a good time, that's great. But I think the real standout continues to be Jack Black as far as comedically. I think that there is something about the way Jack Black delivers his lines as Bowser. He feels kind of like leaning into it. He kind of knows, I mean, he's such a pro at this point, especially doing these animated movies, and he knows how to kind of like really tweak it just right. And I think make a line that was kind of funny, much funnier. So he, I think, still is the standout. And hey, I love that Brie Larson is a massive, massive lifelong Mario fan, and she gets to be Rosalina. Not that she gets to do anything that interesting as the character who is. I mean, they even joke at the beginning of the movie about your first princess napping for Bowser Jr. She spends most of the movie locked up, so it's not like there's a lot going on with that character. But I still think, hey, it's great that Brie Larson, she absolutely cares about what she's doing in this movie. But yeah, it just kind of felt like it washed over me, this movie. It was almost a day later. I saw it last night, and it's like I can remember little moments that I chuckled at or thought were fun, and at the same time, it felt very empty, very hollow experience. And yeah, you look at other video game movies recently, and I think you can do more with it. Sonic, I think, is a great example because I haven't played any Sonic games, but I played a lot of Mario games, but I do think the Sonic movies are better. And I look at Sonic 3 versus this movie, and they both have a villain duo who are family related to each other, but I think Sonic 3 does more with it. So yeah, I imagine like the Lord and Miller version of Mario and think, oh, that could be something really interesting. I also then acknowledge Nintendo would never let that happen. Hell, if Lucasfilm thought that Lord and Miller were going too far with their characters, Nintendo certainly would think that. So maybe there's only so much you can do within actual, realistic confines of the company you're dealing with and the characters and the IP. But I do wish they could have done more with this movie. And I think the first one does have, for what it's worth, a little more heart to it than this one. And I also know that this movie's going to probably make another $1 billion. And, it is a review-proof movie on some level. So, but it just feels like, yeah, there is a way to kind of, to get it all in there, to get in the visuals, get in the references, get in the nostalgia buzz, and still have something that feels like it's just, telling a little more interesting story along the way, doing more, especially with the main characters. Mario and Luigi, there's like nothing going on with them in this movie. Like they're just being Mario and Luigi, but is there something you could figure out with these? They are beloved characters. That's the thing. We've, known them for so long. And even if it's just, even in the most simplistic versions from the 80s, people have, grown up with them. They have become like Mickey Mouse style icons to the fact that they're in theme parks everywhere. So I think we could come up with something, a new nuance on it, a new twist on it that this movie is not offering. But look, I'm sure there'll be a third one. Maybe they can come up with something more interesting in the next round. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which was set to start making a gajillion dollars this week in theaters everywhere. Thanks, guys. If you can like and subscribe, much appreciated. Until next time, take care.